good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody here on this Emergency Management Associates Network. Welcome to the Emergency Management Associates Network. Folks, we're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west from Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We're still waiting for YouTube to acknowledge that we're on the air. I don't want to get started with anything really viable until YouTube acknowledges that we're on the air. I don't want to have to repeat myself several times to talk about what we're going to do here. Now, we're here on the air finally. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, everyone. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here. I'm going to wait just another minute or so to make sure we get people here in the chat, because again, I don't want to repeat myself over and over. Demon Catman from the east of England. He's here from the east of England, everyone. The first one in our chat tonight. Sheila Dean is here. Nicole Motor is here. Thank you so much for being here, Nicole. Welcome. We appreciate all of you here in our chat room tonight. We have a lot of information to talk about, but again, I'm waiting just a little while longer to get more people here in the chat. Songstress Griffin is here. Thank you. YouTube has me buffering, and we came right back here. Unreal. They buffered us already. Incredible. Demon Catman is here again. We're here, we're here, we're here. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing good? Songstress Griffin, hello. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody here. Arnold Smith says 3 is my check-in number. Great. Awesome. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sheila Dean again. Welcome. It's good to see you. Don Patoka, my dear friend from Utah, one of my best friends, and I'll tell you this. Don Patoka's not just one of my best friends. I used to live near him. He's awesome. He's one of our mods here. We want to welcome here as well. Thank you so much. And Nicole Motor. Texas Ladies here. Sheila Dean, checking in #1 from Tennessee. Welcome. That's awesome. Okay, guys, we have quite a few people here in the chat tonight. I want to start off with this information. Last night we reported on, again, an update on the story of President Trump being shot Saturday evening. I have more information coming to you. I want to play this for you. This is from a former sniper with the Marine Corps. I want you to hear this. This is very, very good information. Watch this.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here to tell you the shooting of President Donald Trump yesterday, without a doubt in my mind, was a planned and coordinated attack on the president inside our government, our local agency, or police force. Here's why. My name is Matthew Murphy, and I am a retired Green Beret, retired from the Special Forces Group, but I'm also a level 1 sniper, which means that I have graduated the highest level of training for snipers that you can do in special operations. We're trained, I'm going to avoid confidential or classified terminology, trained in assassinations and counter-assassinations for the very reason, case in point, yesterday, the shooting of President Donald Trump. So, first of all, anywhere the president's going to go, there are teams from the Secret Service that go out days, if not weeks, if not months, before the president will ever be at that spot. And they do a site security assessment. And they do that with the local police forces and agencies to ensure that every potential security threat or vulnerability is secured and, of course, protected against. Now, this is done way before Donald Trump will ever get there, and they know every place that the president will be, and the sniper team especially is responsible for ensuring that no one can take a shot at the president. Now, that does not mean that the sniper team just sets up with their guns and scans the crowd and shoots. No, what they do, the most important thing they do, pre-Donald Trump showing up, is within a 360-degree environment of that podium of the president, they ensure that there is not a place that is open that will be accessible by someone with a rifle to take a shot at the president. So they make sure those places are barricaded off, inaccessible, and heavily guarded, so there is no way you are going to get to the place where you can even shoot the president with a rifle before the president shows up. Then they scan the crowd and those places with a rifle just in case by some miracle you do. Now you're not going to tell me, I don't care who you are, don't listen to the media, nonsense anyways, I think most of us know that by now, that some 20-year-old kid that looks like he played Dungeons and Dragons in his mom's basement is trained on a gun, especially a sniper rifle like that, is a registered Republican, and then can access anywhere near the vicinity of that crowd, of that event, with him not dressed in a uniform and that sniper rifle. He was wearing American flag t-shirt and pants, and he had a rifle. You're going to tell me that that kid went through all the levels of security, somehow got into the closest building to the president, then accessed the rooftop of the closest building to the president, then had the time to unpack his rifle, lay down in the prone, and then take 5 to 8 well-aimed shots at the president before he was decisively engaged by the Secret Service's counter sniper teams or a local police department. I don't know who they were, most likely police. You're going to tell me all that happened and a 20-year-old kid did that without it being heavily planned, coordinated, and people on the inside making it happen? There's absolutely no way possible that that kid was able to get up there and take those shots at the president without a lot of internal help. So someone in that local, or some people inside that local police department agency who's the Secret Service is compromised and is a threat to our president. So we need to stop worrying about that damn shooter and start worrying about who allowed this shit to happen. And President Trump, if you need an American to protect you who's actually good at sniping and stopping this crap, give me a call. I'll do it for free. Everybody have a good day. God bless.
Okay. Folks, that's true information. That's really good information. We have a sniper from the Marine Corps. He's very good. Very, very good. But again, it's just one more witness that says the U.S. Secret Service was not doing its job. That man put up a ladder against that building, made access to that building without anybody knowing about it until private citizens saw it. I don't buy it. This is within the security perimeter of where President Trump's rally was. I don't buy it. Again, he pointed out that the Secret Service, days and months ahead, go through that area like a fine-tooth comb. They go through it and analyze everything around it. They make sure nobody can get up to those buildings. Why was that done? Why was that done? I don't buy it. Okay? And again, some other things that I want to know about. Why is the Biden administration denying the Secret Service has to have more people on President Trump's team? Why are they denying it? The FBI. Why are they denying the FBI access? Why are they only allowing so many people into it? Okay? This was planned. This whole thing was planned. Okay? The whole thing was planned. And then Biden comes on the air yesterday evening when I was on the air and expresses his grievance against the people that did this, against the person and or people that did this. I don't buy that either. Biden is behind this whole thing. Biden and or his Democrat Communist Party are behind it. Okay? Hurricane Heather's here in the chat, one of my dear mods here. She says, I wouldn't trust the FBI right now at all. I agree. I don't trust the FBI. I haven't trusted the FBI for a lot of years. As you remember, a few years back, Comey, who was the head of the FBI during the Trump administration, was fired by President Trump. Why? Because Comey lied to the president. Comey and quite a few of his team lied to the president. It was back then that I knew for a fact that the FBI had been infiltrated by the Communist Party and more. Who funded the dossier about President Trump? The false dossier about President Trump. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. It all fits together, doesn't it? It absolutely does. I don't trust the FBI. Director Wray from the FBI needs to resign. The Secret Service director needs to resign immediately. Immediately. Okay? That's all I'm going to talk about right now about what happened on Saturday evening in Pennsylvania. Hurricane Heather says she thinks President Trump should handpick his own security people. I totally agree. I totally agree. Somebody is asking here, Sue is asking, what's the RCC? I'm going to go back through the chat here and find out what you're talking about. I have a feeling I know, but I want to see what's going on. Prism Ortega says, are DEI hires? Yes. It was DEI hires. DEI is representative of people that are minorities being hired or put in position because they are who they are. Okay? DEI hires. I don't agree with it. I absolutely don't agree with it. It's wrong. It's discriminatory. Richard Smith says he's about to drive home. We'll be back on shortly. Thanks, Richard. We appreciate you. Hurricane Heather says the cops put the ladder up to engage. Yes, they did, but the ladder was there before the cops got there. This officer went back down the ladder, and then he put it out that he had seen the suspect up there on the roof. That in and of itself should have put a stop to what was going on. The Secret Service should have heard that go over the air. The Secret Service and the snipers all over that area should have known what's going on. But they didn't do anything until after the sniper did what he did. After the suspect sniper did what he did, they didn't do anything. And that's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. The only way that could have happened is if the police were in on this and had been brought in by the Secret Service to be snipers. They may not have had permission to take the first shot, which is crap. If you see somebody on the roof that doesn't belong there, they should have been taken out. Period. They should have been taken out. Okay? Now, I'm not sure what the RCC is. I think I know what it is, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Eventually, Mike is here. I'm very glad Mike is here as well. Thanks for being here. Now, Harry Fodder says immediately, I totally agree. That suspect should have been taken out. Now, I told you last night that Mr. Crooks, Matthew Crooks, was a suspect. I've since learned there was something else. There was someone else that was not Matthew Crooks. There's evidence of that. Okay? The tattoos on the suspect's face were not Matthew Crooks. There was someone else. I saw the suspect shot on the roof with blood and everything, and it was not the suspect Matthew Crooks. Okay? Wages World is here. Thank you, Mark, for being here. He says, keep rocking the great coverage, my brother. Much love. Everyone beat on the button. It really helps. Beat on the like button. God bless, and remember, you can always drink the Kool-Aid here. Absolutely. Thank you, Wages. We appreciate it. We really do. You guys that are not on Mark Wages' channel or not subscribed to his channel, please do that. Mark Wages talks about solar events, solar flares, coronal mass ejections. He talks about X-class flares that we just had and the the plasma radiation from that X-class flare has already hit the Earth. Incredible. Songstress Griffin is asking, Ron, so it wasn't the young kid that was really the shooter? I have reason to believe it was not him. Okay? I have reason to believe it was not him. We see this all the time with politicians. They put up false information, and the media falls for it. The media does not ask questions. Okay? But I don't believe it was the young kid that did the shooting. The 20-year-old Matthew Crooks. I don't believe it is. Okay? I have information. I'm vetting it now to make sure we have the right information. I don't like putting names out there, but right now I have it on good information that Matthew Crooks was not the shooter. Okay? Unreal. Unreal. Yeah, Songstress Scriven says Matthew ? Yes. Matthew Crooks I don't believe was a shooter. I'll have more information on that probably tomorrow when I come back on the air. Now, I want to tell you this. I want to go forward now. We have a lot of information to give you tonight, but we have breaking information out of the Republican National Convention. Earlier today, J.D. Vance, Senator J.D. Vance, was brought in by President Trump to be the Vice President of the United States. This is a picture of J.D. Vance this morning as he was approaching the podium, surrounded by followers and surrounded by Secret Service protection. The man in the back is one of the Secret Service agents assigned to J.D. Vance. But J.D. Vance was handpicked by President Trump out of several other people that were on the top of the list, and J.D. Vance was asked to be Vice President Trump's running mate. Okay? So that's brand new news. Now let me tell you a little bit about J.D. Vance. Okay? J.D. Vance is the junior senator from Ohio. J.D. Vance started in politics running into the Senate. Okay? He's a junior senator, meaning he never ran for the Senate before, and now he has been brought in as the person chosen by President Trump to be the Vice President of the United States. Now, he's only been in politics a short time. He published his memoir a short time ago. His memoir is called Hillbilly Elegy. Hillbilly, E-L-E-G-Y. Okay? But President Trump asked him to come in as the Vice President of the United States. Okay? Trump announced on his social media, Truth Social, that Vance is his running mate. Vance, who's 39 years old, won the election to the U.S. Senate in 2022. So he's only been a senator for a year and a half. What do you need to know about him? His memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, became immensely popular in 2016, telling Vance's personal story against the backdrop of the struggles of Appalachia and Rust America. Rust America is the steel part of America. What did he do? Okay, what did he do? The message in Vance's book was only that by their willpower, Americans in economically and socially struggling regions can improve their own lives. Americans that are economically struggling and socially struggling can improve their own lives. This was before the idiot Biden brought in all those illegal aliens from all over the world, from over 129 countries, illegals. Americans are still struggling. Americans are still struggling because there's high inflation, because what Biden has done. Biden has given these illegals our Social Security. He's given these illegals money out of the Veterans Administration. He's given these illegals money from every part of the government. Unreal. Unreal. All of us are struggling. J.D. Vance's book gave Americans in coastal and more affluent areas a window into the lives of people who make up the backbone of President Trump's support in 2016. When Trump won, Vance's book became a Bible of sorts for leaders and the media to better understand people who voted for Trump, on how a real estate mogul from New York could appeal to struggling Rust Belt Americans. J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, became a very best seller and a movie, and it championed the hard-working men and women of this country. Trump wrote on Truth Social, as he announced Vance as his running mate, quote, JD has a very successful business career in technology and finance, and now, during the campaign, he will be strongly focused on the people he fought so brilliantly for, the American workers and the farmers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and far beyond. Vance said he would not have certified the 2020 election if he were vice president. Vance has said that he would have refused to certify the election if he were in Pence's position. Quote, if I had been vice president, I would have told the states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and several others that we needed to have multiple slates of electors. And I think the U.S. Congress should have fought over it from there. That is a legitimate way to deal with an election that a lot of folks, including me, think had a lot of problems in 2020. I think that's what we should have done. In 2020, Trump pressured Pence, who presided over the joint session of Congress that affirmed the results of the presidential election, to refuse to certify the electoral votes that show Biden had won. Mr. Biden did win, only after there was a mass confusion of what happened. And since we have learned that many votes were ineligible, there was fraud in the election all over the place. Then all of a sudden on January 6th, there was an attack on the Capitol. Since then, Trump has continued to publicly claim that Pence did not have the right to change did have the right to change the outcome. On abortion, although Vance said in 2022 that he'd back a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks, he indicated that he also supports Trump on leaving the question to the states. I am pro-life. I want to save as many babies as possible. And sure, I think it's totally reasonable to say that late-term abortions should not happen with reasonable exceptions. But I think Trump's approach here is trying to settle a very tough issue and actually empower the American people to decide it for themselves. About Ukraine, Vance opposes U.S. aid to Ukraine, arguing in April that the administration lacks a plan for Ukraine's success. He wrote that Ukraine lacks the manpower and the firepower to fend off Russia, and also that the U.S. does not have the manufacturing capacity to make up the difference. Vance says that Ukraine and its Western allies must give up the goal of a return to Ukraine's boundaries in 1991, after the fall of the Soviet Union, and to move forward. The U.S. and European allies struggle to support Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and believe that Russian President Vladimir Putin will not stop his expansion at Ukraine. Now, this is something unique about Mr. Vance. Train and rail safety. After that toxic train incident in Ohio, Vance was a leading voice on train safety. He spawned health and environmental concerns for the residents of East Palestine, Ohio. He is part of a bipartisan group of 6 senators who introduced rail safety legislation in March 2023 that aims to prevent future derailments. We just got through with another derailment just last week in North Dakota, a toxic derailment. Okay? The measure that JD has been co-sponsored has not passed in the Senate, even though it has 6 GOP co-sponsors and the support of 6 Democratic lawmakers. Now, Vance had a challenging childhood. Why am I talking about this? Because I want to make sure that everybody knows who Vance is. Okay? Phone is asking, is Vance married and who is his wife? Yes, he is married. Mr. Vance was born James Donald Bowman in August 1984 in Middletown, Ohio. When Vance was 6 years old, his biological father gave him up for adoption to his stepfather. His name changed from Donald Bowman to James David Vance. Vance's childhood was tumultuous. Not only did his father leave the family, but his mother struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol, which Vance documented in his book. Vance spent much of his time growing up with his grandparents in Kentucky. His grandmother was a Blue Dog Democrat who owned 19 handguns. She was a big influence in his life. After graduating from high school, Vance enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps. He holds a degree from Yale. He discussed this at length in his book, and I urge you all to get a copy of his book. He adapted the social expectations and nuances of the elite culture at Yale University, and initially that all challenged him. J.D. Vance graduated with a law degree from Yale in 2013. In the Senate, Vance serves on the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, the Commerce and Science and Transportation Committee, the Joint Economic Committee, and the Special Committee on Aging. Vance's wife, her name is Usha, U-S-H-A. She's an accomplished attorney. Vance met his Indian-American wife, Usha Chukuri, at Yale. They married in 2014. She is an attorney and clerk for Supreme Court Chief John Roberts. She clerked for Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, as well as Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, when Kavanaugh was a federal judge. Vance and Chukuri have 3 children. Okay, so now you have the lowdown on J.D. Vance. I wanted to make sure you guys understood who he was. He is nominated today to be the next Vice President of the United States with Donald J. Trump. Does anybody have any questions so far for me? I'll be happy to talk with you. I'll be happy to talk with you about anything you have questions about. Somebody told me I need to have a rest. I don't believe so. You don't know what you're talking about. And goodbye. Anybody have any questions or issues with Vance? I don't have all the answers yet. Okay? I just gave you an overview of his biography. Okay? Foam says his brain can barely handle it all. He's tired. I know that feeling so well. Thomas is asking, who does his wife work for right now? I believe she's just a litigator. She is an attorney. Okay? Vicky says his major was law. He graduated summa cum laude, a 3.9 GPA. Plus he was a Marine. Okay? Anyway, I have a lot of information for you guys. I didn't mean this to be just politics. Okay? I don't like talking about politics unless I have to. In some cases I do. And that's why I've talked about politics tonight. I want to make sure you know what's going on. Now I'm going to go over earthquakes. Tonight we're going to specifically talk about earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to turn now to seismograms and information that I pulled earlier today. Now, I'm first going to show you the tremor map of the Pacific Northwest. Okay? It's coming up right now. Okay? Right here. According to the USBS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, these are the only tremors that have happened in the entire Pacific Northwest. Right here. Okay? This is over in Washington State, northwestern Washington State. They say these are the only tremors. I call Bushwell on that. Okay? I can show you seismograms, not tonight, but I will show you seismograms this week of earthquakes. And I showed it to you last week. I showed you earthquakes up and down the entire coastline. This is bullcrap. And they know that. They know this is bullcrap. Okay? There are earthquakes up and down the entire coastline. Okay? Crazy. It's absolutely insane. But this is what the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network wanted to show us today. I want to show you this as well. Okay? It shows you that they are lying. They've always been lying. Demon Catman says I must have my finger on the microphone. I'm sorry. Sound was being muffled. Okay. Now I want to go over to first Baker Volcano. Mount Baker is up just south of the Canadian border, in northern Washington on the Canadian border. Look at this. Now this is the only seismogram we have available. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network put out these seismograms. In any case, whenever you see one of these seismograms like this, it comes from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. If you see blue seismograms, they come from the USGS. Okay? This is from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Now, in this specific case, this is from Mount Baker. Mount Baker. This was the only seismogram that made any sense at all. This is at Mount Baker on Shuxon. Shuxon is on the north side of Mount Baker. This is a ski resort. Shuxon is a ski resort, and that is where the seismograph is. Now look what we're showing you here. All these waves right here, all these wavy lines here, this is caused by magma coming into the volcanic chamber at Mount Baker. This is a lot of activity. This is absolutely a lot of activity. This is magma that's causing these waves. They're called very low frequency radio waves caused by the magma coming into the volcano. This is very active. This started at 5 p.m. yesterday, 1700 hours, military time. This is all military time here. 1700 hours is 5 p.m. Then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and midnight right here. Even at midnight, we see a lot of activity here. A ton of it. A ton of it. Demon Catman says we can't see much. Let me try to back this camera out here. Okay? This is 5 p.m. yesterday, and we still had a lot of activity until after midnight here. Then the activity slowed down a bit. Then it started picking up after 5 a.m. right here. Look at this. This is a lot of magma activity coming into Mount Baker. Again, Mount Baker is a volcano just south of the Canadian border. Okay? This is important. All of the volcanoes that we're talking about are steaming. Each and every one of them. The magma that's coming up into the volcanic chamber just beneath the plug of the volcano has hit that plug many, many times. Let me switch this camera over right now. Okay? Every volcano has a plug. Every volcano has a plug. The plug is at the top summit of the volcano. The plug is a result of the last eruption of the volcano. As that lava cools and solidifies, that plug becomes a great big huge rock. And there is magma down beneath that plug. The magma is hammering into the plug just like this. Coming up into the plug just like this. As that magma hits that plug, it's hammering away at it. It's hammering away on a great big huge rock. And when it hammers away at that huge rock, what happens? What happens? All of a sudden that great big huge rock starts to come apart. The pressure of that magma underneath that plug hammers away here, causing ripple effects, fissures to open up inside that plug, just like this. Added to that, When you have that hot superheated magma beneath that plug, it also releases the water in the magma. 6 to 7% of magma is water. 6 to 7% of magma is water. That is why we see steam coming from these volcanoes. Okay? That's what's happening. We see steam coming up. That hot steam even widens those holes even more from that magma that hammered it away at that plug. It widens those holes even more, allowing more and more steam to come from the volcano. Okay? That's what's happening here. That's what happens at every volcano. Every volcano. Okay? All right. Just hang in here with me, okay? Let's not go up the deep end and talk about other things and even different areas of science. Hang in here with me, okay? This is what's happening at Mount Baker. And this is the only seismogram we were able to pull that had any evidence of anything going on. All the other seismograms have been erased or information taken off them by the agency. The agency does not want us to have this information. They have, in fact, in the past, taken the seismograms completely down, showing absolutely nothing. They still are doing that to a certain extent. But here, we're even seeing minor earthquakes here happening. Okay? Usually on this seismogram here, it's an HHN channel of the seismogram, or seismograph. The seismograph is a multi-channel device. We're seeing the HHN channel, which is the VLF wave channel. Okay? But we're even seeing earthquakes happening as a result of that violent magma coming into the magma chamber. Okay? We're seeing that. All right. Let's go to the next one. I ended up pulling the Glacier Peak volcano seismogram today. It doesn't show much of anything. Why? Because again, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has completely gone through this seismogram and has taken information out. All they're showing basically are tremors. All they're showing basically are tremors here. They're not showing any other activity. Now, why am I saying that? There are earthquakes that have been hitting Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak is an active volcano, a very active volcano. Now, there's something that you guys need to see. It's right here. Now, I'm going to enlarge this seismogram so you can see more what I'm talking about here. Okay? This is a magma churn signal. Superheated magma in the volcanic chamber causes these magma churn signals to happen on the seismogram. Okay? The magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. Let's look at this one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is showing 12 lines high. That's 50% of what the normal magma churn signal would be, which means this seismogram should be showing us 50% of what's actually going on. 50% of real world. 50% of real world. Carr, if you want to know who this J.D. Vance guy is, you need to wait till the end of this program and go back to the beginning of our program when we talked about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is the nominee for vice president for President Trump. Okay? But you can find out more about J.D. Vance over at the beginning of our program. And after we're done, you can go there and go rewind this program and go back to get that information. Okay? Watts says, okay, explains the amount of data collected hard to replicate. Yes, it's hard to replicate. Okay? But they scrub the data. They scrub actual data off the seismogram. They do it all the time. The agencies are hiding data. They change it. And yes, you can do your own research. Okay? Foam says do your own research. I have. I've been doing this, pulling data for years and years. A lot of years. Aubrey, welcome to the program tonight. Aubrey just got home. Okay, this is Glacier Peak. This volcano is about 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Now let's go over to Mount Rainier. Okay, I want you to see what's going on at Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is another volcano where the USGS has done their darndest, and not just the USGS, but also the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has done their darndest to make sure we don't get information about Mount Rainier. I found it very hard trying to pull information for you about Mount Rainier. They know darn well that Mount Rainier is very busy. They know darn well that Mount Rainier is about to erupt. Okay? I pulled this seismogram from the USGS site. Okay? It's showing a lot of data, isn't it? Mount Rainier is big time moving. Big time moving. Yes, you see a lot of tremors here. You see a ton of tremors. This is probably a 2.0 earthquake. This is maybe a 2.0, 2.1 earthquake. This is another magma churn signal that we'll talk about in just a minute. This is about a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake. But look at the width of this earthquake. Look at the width. The width tells me that this earthquake was larger than they're showing it. This is probably a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Right here, this is another 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. Minor earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. Look at all these other tremors here. A lot of magma coming into Mount Rainier. On the USGS map, they show one earthquake, and it's only a tiny tremor. It's a microquake. But you can see other tremors here all over the place. There's probably 150, 200 tremors here at Mount Rainier today. And I showed you right here other minor earthquakes. Other minor earthquakes here. Again, they're not showing us everything. Now let me enlarge this seismogram and show you data about this magma churn signal here. Okay? Again, this is a magma churn signal caused by very hot magma coming into Mount Rainier. Superheated magma. Hot magma typically is about anywhere from 1400 degrees to 2500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's normal. This is superheated magma causing these magma churn signals. Now on the other magma churn signal over at Glacier Peak, it showed vertical lines after that magma churn signal. The vertical lines are steam. Those vertical lines are steam signatures showing that that volcano is putting out steam. It's erupting steam. Okay? Let me check something real quick. Okay, Car, you can go back through this program after our program is over, rewind it, where we talk a lot about J.D. Vance, okay? But again, this is a magma churn signal that we're talking about here, okay? Please stay up with me. A magma churn signal. The magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? It's just barely 26% of real world. Just barely 26% of real world. What does that tell us about these other earthquakes and tremors? It tells me that these other earthquakes and tremors are a lot larger than what they're showing us here. For example, this earthquake here. As I enlarge it here, this one would probably be about a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. This may be as large, considering this is only maybe 26% of real world, This may be as large as a 3.0 earthquake. This earthquake may be as large as a 3.0 earthquake. And while we're talking about that, how about this quake here? The width of this quake shows us that this quake lasted probably 10 or 15 seconds. This tells me that this earthquake probably was a 3.0 earthquake, a small 3.0 earthquake. Small 3.0 earthquakes have been happening here at Mount Rainier for a very long time. A very, very long time. The magma is coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Rainier, causing all of this activity that you're seeing. Now there's one other thing right here. Look at this. There was a point in time today for about 45 seconds that this particular seismograph was off. They turned it off. That's what this signal is here. You see the line going down here, you see the line coming up here, cutting across here, and starting again right here. This is the typical signal when we have a drop in signal strength. They turned off the seismogram here, or seismograph. They turned off the seismograph right here. This is a signal of turning it off and turning it back on here. Okay? They do that. We pointed this out on past seismographs, or seismograms that we've seen here. Okay? But again, this earthquake down here this afternoon, just after 5 p.m. today, is a bigger earthquake. Probably a 3.0 earthquake. This is also probably a 3.0 earthquake. This is possibly close to a 3.0 earthquake, as well as this up here. Okay? Mount Rainier is getting ready to erupt, plain and simple. They can say that Mount Rainier is not getting ready to erupt, but the seismograms tell a different story. The seismograms tell a different story. Okay? Again, they don't want us to know what's happening. That's why I go over these seismograms with a fine-tooth comb. I want everybody to understand that. By the way, that seismogram came from Camp Sherman. Camp Sherman. Camp Sherman is on the north side of Mount Rainier. The north side of Mount Rainier. Now let's look at the seismogram coming from Camp Muir. Camp Muir is the next here. This is Camp Muir. Look at all this activity here. Look at all this activity. Tremors and minor earthquakes. Minor earthquake, minor earthquake, minor earthquake here. All this other activity are tremors here. That shows a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber when we have all this tremor activity here. It's huge. It's huge. Aubrey's here in the chat says, I wonder if the heated waters on Mount Rainier are hotter now. Absolutely. I'm sure they're very, very, very hot. Climbers used to soak in them. Okay? They used to soak in those, what do they call them? Not steam. When the groundwater at the volcano or the glacier water that's on the volcano melts, or the snow melts, it falls into crags and holes on the volcano, and the volcano is hot. The ground is warm. And when this water comes over to those areas, it gets heated up. And it happens all over the world. It happens in Utah. It happens in Montana. It happens in Idaho. I've seen it. Okay? It happens all the time. It would not surprise me to know that it happens at Mount Rainier. Not at all. Okay? About 4 years ago, when I was doing our program, we came on evidence of a lahar that came down I believe it was the north side of Mount Rainier. I had a video I may still have on my database, but we came upon a video showing a lahar. The lahar was snow and ice coming down the side of the volcano. snow and ice coming down the side of the volcano. And when that happened, that melt caused all kinds of trees, limbs, rocks, and other debris also to be forced down the side of the mountain. Now, I showed it on my program. USGS denied it. The Forest Service denied it. Then all of a sudden, about a week later, when there was more debris still coming down the mountain in streams and rivers down at the bottom of Mount Rainier, all of a sudden they had to admit, yes, there had been a lahar. Yes, there had been a lahar. All that snow and melt that melted was a result of heat coming from the inside of the volcano. The outside of the volcano, the earth on the outside of the volcano becomes heated up by the magma inside. It happens. And we found a video of it happening. But again, the USGS said, oh, it's wrong. That's wrong. Okay? But I'm telling you, it happens. It happens. After President Trump became president, he visited Mount Rainier right before the election. And the Forest Service at the time was testing these lahar sirens. They put up sirens all around the volcano. And when President Trump came to visit, they tested the lahar sirens. Okay? It's very interesting how they would do that when President Trump was there. Why did they put them up? Because they had experienced a lahar. And it probably happened before that, but they just didn't do anything about it. This time, it was big news because we covered it. We put it on the air. We were the only agency or any kind of person that published it, but we did it. Okay? The news media got wind of it about 2 weeks later, and they published the video as well. But we were the first. Okay? I noticed my buddy Rick Silva here in the chat again. Thank you for being here, Rick. We appreciate you. He says, y'all don't forget to hit the thumbs up, please. Yes, folks, please hit the thumbs up. It makes a big difference. One of the things that the thumbs up does, it gives the people at YouTube the opportunity to see how many people really enjoy this program. It lets YouTube know that all of you think this program is important. It gives that the thumbs up and the number of people watching this program, and also the time element that you guys watch this program. The longer each individual person watches this program, it figures into the analytical factors that allows YouTube to say, well, I guess we'll let... I'm sorry, excuse me. It tells YouTube, hey, people are interested. And then YouTube will decide whether they allow other people to see our program. It all comes into a great big huge analytical factor, and that's what they do. The thumbs up, the number of people who watch our program, and also the time that you're here. If you're here 5 or 10 minutes, you don't get anything out of it. Honestly, don't. Because we have a lot of other information we give you. And if you're only here 10 minutes, you're not going to get the full information. Okay? JNUSMC says, believe Mount Rainier isn't solid as well. It's made of soft clay. An eruption could cause a mudslide. You're absolutely right. Now, there's something else that you need to know if you haven't been here before. Mount Rainier is bulging on one side. Now, you all know what happened in 1980. Mount St. Helens blew out the side. What happened? Blew out the side. A huge eruption from the side of the volcano. It blew up the top of the volcano as well. Mount St. Helens is a lot shorter than it used to be. Significantly shorter. This could happen again at Mount Rainier. That bulge on, I believe it's the northwest side of the volcano, is still there. I've seen pictures of it. Okay? So yes, Mount Rainier could erupt, and it could blow out where that bulge is. We've been watching it very carefully for about 3 years now. Okay? Rick Silva's here in the chat, and I want to put this out for all you prayer warriors. He says, any person willing to add me to their prayers, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm currently under attack. Negative forces hitting me hard. Thanks. Rick, we will be praying for you, brother. I appreciate that so much, Rick. Thanks for letting me know, letting all of us know. Okay? Yes, we will be praying for you. Night Token says, I'm halfway through here, got in late. I'm sorry about that. Night, when you finish watching this program, go and rewind it to the beginning where you'll get all the information we've already talked about. But again, this is another seismogram. This is on the south side of Mount Rainier. You see the earthquakes and tremors happening. A 2.0 earthquake. This is probably a 2.2, 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0. This is a 1.6, 1.7 tremor. This is an earthquake here. Anytime you see a triangle going out to the right side of an earthquake, this earthquake was probably a lot larger than they're saying. Okay? This triangle going out to the right side is called a secondary wave. A secondary wave. This tells me that this earthquake is a lot larger than they're saying it is. It's showing probably a 1.6, 1.7 tremor, but I have a feeling it's at least a 2.5 or larger earthquake right there. You see a lot of other tremors here. This is another 2.0 earthquake here. Look at this. Now this is a wide earthquake. The width of this earthquake makes a difference. Why? Because this is the length of time that the shaking continued. It looks like this may have been a 2.0 earthquake, but this is a long duration quake. This quake shook the earth for about 10 or 15 seconds. This is probably a 2.5 earthquake. Okay, I'm just saying. It may have been larger than that. We don't see, on this particular seismogram, we do not see a magma churn signal. If the scientists that set up this seismograph set it up the same way they did on Mount Sherman, or I'm not seeing Mount Sherman, but Camp Sherman on the north side of Mount Rainier, they set it up the same way. What we're seeing here is only 50% of real world, meaning all these earthquakes that you see here are larger than what they appear. Okay? They've done it before. This earthquake here the same way. Down here, this is at least a 15-second earthquake. This appears to be a 2.2 earthquake, but it may be larger than that. And this one as well. Now you see other events happening here. Why? Because magma is coming into this magma chamber at Mount Rainier. Again, this is Camp Muir. Camp Muir, RCM. This is a lot of magma coming in here. See this thick line here? This is a lot of magma coming into this magma chamber. You see some tiny tremors. See some tiny lines here. The tiny lines represent tremors. Magma coming into this magma chamber is causing rock fracturing inside the volcanic chamber, which is causing earth movement. Earthquakes. Earthquakes. The same thing here, 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 and here, and here. Okay, this is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, and you see vertical lines here. Earthquakes. Earth movement here, caused by rock fracturing from the magma coming into the magma chamber. Okay? Again, this is Mount Rainier. Let's go down and talk about Mount St. Helens. Good old Mount St. Helens is next. I love Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is a unique volcano. We talked about Mount St. Helens a little bit ago. Mount St. Helens erupted way back in 1980. Huge eruption. It blew out the side of the volcano. Now, Mount St. Helens is very active. Okay? The first seismogram I'm going to show you is showing you magma coming into the magma chamber. This is September lobe. September lobe. Again, you see the wavy lines here. you see some wavy lines here. The wavy lines here are not as strong as these here. Magma is coming into the volcanic chamber at Mount St. Helens, and it's causing problems. The magma is coming in under pressure, causing earthquakes and tremors. These wavy lines here are caused by magma coming into the volcanic chamber at Mount St. Helens. This is showing very few lines here. This is showing a lot. The volcano was having earthquakes at this time. Mount St. Helens was having earthquakes at this time because there was so much magma under pressure. Okay? The magma under pressure started at 2200 hours, 10 p.m. last night. It continued until after almost 5 a.m. here. 7 hours of magma coming in here, and it looks to be violent, doesn't it? This is a lot of magma coming into Mount St. Helens. Rick Silva says St. Helens is a cool place to visit. What's left of it? If you'd seen it prior to the eruption, then now you can get a feel of the energy, the extreme energy of the eruption. You can see it in the pictures. You can see it by going there personally. Thank you for that, Rick. I appreciate it. Now, I'm sorry, Demon Catman says we can't see half of it. There you can. I'm sorry I had to back it out here. You can see all these wavy lines. These are VLF waves, very low frequency waves showing magma coming into the magma chamber here. Okay? That's what's happening. Down here, you don't see many waves here. You don't see any here. I believe they probably turned down the seismogram, or turned down the seismograph. The seismograph is the equipment. The seismogram is what we're showing you here. This is the graph of the activity. They turned down the seismograph, okay? They don't want anybody to know what's going on. That's why they turned down the seismograph. Okay, let's show you another seismogram here. Now, like I said, this volcano is very active. We all know it. We have seen evidence of it before. But again, the agency doesn't usually show it to us. Let me show you one of the seismograms from Mount St. Helens. This is source of Smith Creek. Source of Smith Creek. Look at all this magma here. Okay? This seismogram started at 5 p.m. yesterday. Look at all this magma here. This is huge. This is huge. Most of this is a lot of tremors and microquakes. Tremors and microquakes, and a lot of minor earthquakes. This is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. Now again, on the other seismogram, you don't see this. That means they edited the seismogram. You only see activity from about 10 p.m. last night to 4 a.m. this morning on the other seismogram. This shows a lot more activity. This is what I'm talking about by the scientists editing out information. They didn't know that I was going to show you this. They did not know that I was going to show you this particular seismogram. I took my time by pulling information that I can show you. They edited it. I've shown you seismograms already that were edited. Now, this is an area right here. Remember on the other side, the seismogram from September lobe? There was some time period today where there was very little activity. You can see by the width of these horizontal lines, there's still magma coming into the magma chamber, but it's not as big as this. This is all magma, guys. This is all magma coming into the volcanic chamber. Each line is 15 minutes long. Each horizontal line is 15 minutes long. Okay? The same thing here. The black line is 7 a.m. The next one is red, 7:15. Then we get to be a green line. The green line is 7:45 a.m. The next black line is 8 a.m. Okay? Every 15 minutes. Look at this. These are earthquakes. This is all earthquake activity here. This is all earthquake activity. Heaven forbid they wanted to show this on the other seismogram. They edited it out. You can see on this particular seismogram that everything's going.
Magnitude 4.7, 14 minutes ago.
Another 4.7 earthquake in the Philippines. Anyway, these are all earthquakes, guys. All this is earthquakes happening at Mount St. Helens. Magma coming into the magma chamber, fracturing rock. Fracturing rock. Right here. This is after 2 p.m. here. Look at that. Earthquake lasting 60 seconds. This particular earthquake actually lasted over 60 seconds. Started at 2 p.m. and lasted till just after 2:01, this blue line is 2:30. Started at 2:30 and came out here after 2:31. And then the secondary wave lasted another 2.5, 3 minutes. Incredible. Incredible. This probably was a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. To have this secondary wave last this long, this is probably at least a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. And the same with these others here. Mount St. Helens is getting ready to erupt. You can see it here. Let nobody mistake what's going on at Mount St. Helens. Diane Mayers is here. Thank you for being here, Diane. We appreciate it. Mount St. Helens is very active. Mount St. Helens is getting ready to erupt. I don't really give a flying rat's butt what the agencies say. They need to be put on notice. The agencies need to be put on notice that, hey, people's lives are in danger. They need to put a restriction on areas around the volcano because it's going to erupt. Okay? It's going to erupt. Eventually, Mike says, gotta walk the dogs, be right back, y'all. Thanks, Mike, we appreciate it. Anyway, let me show you another one. Okay? I want to show you Sugar Bowl. Mount St. Helens Sugar Bowl. Again, this is one of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network seismograms. Sugar Bowl. This is also a BHN channel, meaning this particular channel on this seismograph is a channel where we're going to see VLF waves. We are going to see VLF waves. Yes, we have some VLF waves here. Remember the last seismogram I showed you? There was still a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, right? That's what this is also showing. But this is showing you earthquakes that are happening. We're seeing earthquakes that are happening here. Why? Because all this magma here is coming into the volcanic chamber. This is a lot of magma coming in under pressure, causing the earthquakes. Causing the earthquakes. Remember on the other seismogram I was showing you? It doesn't show much going on. Well, it shows you a lot of earthquakes happening here. On this particular seismogram, it's not showing much of anything. Meaning they have erased the data from this seismogram. They have erased the data. They've altered it. They've edited it out. Heaven forbid they tell the truth here. Heaven forbid they tell the truth here. It's sad. It's sad. It's so sad. Okay, let's go on here. Okay, I showed you Mount St. Helens. I want to show you Mount Adams. Mount Adams is one volcano out to the east of Mount St. Helens. There are actually two volcanoes. The first one I'll show you is Cedar Flats. Cedar Flats volcano is just east of Mount St. Helens, directly east. Look at the earthquakes here. Okay, we're showing you magma coming in into the volcanic chamber here at Cedar Flats. Yes, we're seeing tremors here. This is a minor earthquake and other tremors here. We're still seeing tremors here, and again another minor earthquake here, and this is a 2.5 earthquake here. Cedar Flats. We don't always show you anything at Cedar Flats at all, because usually they've edited everything out and there's nothing to show you. But at least you can see activity here. Cedar Flats is a volcano. Cedar Flats does have earthquakes hitting it. Now, we don't think that there's much magma here at Cedar Flats causing a possible eruption here. There might be, but they're not showing us enough information. They might be editing out here. When I first started broadcasting and showing you seismograms here in the Pacific Northwest, there was a lot more activity. And they have cut down on the amount of activity that they're willing to show us. Okay? But this is still a lot of activity at Cedar Flats. Let's go over further east to Mount Adams. Look at this. Again, Mount Adams usually shows us nothing. The seismograms are completely stripped of information. We're seeing the information here. Yes, the thicker lines here are showing magma coming into the magma chamber, and yes, we are seeing tremors here. We're seeing tremors. These vertical lines on these lines showing magma, they're tremors. They're tremors. They are the magma coming into the volcanic chamber is fracturing rock, causing earth movement, in this case, tremors. But what about this? What about this? This is a full-blown earthquake. This is a full-blown earthquake. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Over here on the right, the black line here is 9 a.m. This would be about 9:14 a.m. right here. 9:14 a.m. here. A 3.0 earthquake at Mount Adams. Again, they don't usually show it to you. They don't give us this seismogram at all. And if they do, it is blank. It is completely blank. Today, we're showing you information here. We're showing you information. It's active. Mount Adams is a volcano, and Mount Adams is very active. Now let's go south. Okay? I want to go south to Mount Hood. There's a reason. Mount Hood is also a volcano. About 3 years ago, on a Sunday, Mount Hood had 125 earthquakes. 125 earthquakes in about 8 hours. They thought Mount Hood was going to go. They actually issued a yellow advisory telling people to stay away from the volcano. In this case, there's a lot happening here at Mount Rainier, or it's not Mount Rainier, I'm sorry, Mount Hood, but they usually don't show all this here. There's activity like right here. Yes, we used to show you a lot of activity here at Mount Hood, just like this. Just exactly like this. These are tremors and minor earthquakes here. The seismogram you see here is showing white lines here. The white lines don't mean anything, but the black, the red, the blue, and the green lines do mean something. They are activity happening at specific times. The black line, the black horizontal line represents 15 minutes of time. The red is 15 minutes of time, from 10:15 on. The blue line is the 30-minute mark. 30-minute mark lasting 15 minutes. The green lines are always the 45-minute time period. Okay? We're seeing earthquakes happen. A lot of earthquakes happen. Let's go over here. This is after 6:30 this morning. 6:30 over here in the blue here. 6:30 here. This is 6:35 a.m. here. Look at this. This is also 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes happening here. Right here, here, and here, and here. Look at all these lines here. This is about 30 seconds worth of activity here. How would you like the ground around you to shake pretty well? You're seeing or feeling the ground shake for 30 seconds. That's a lot of shaking. That's what you'd feel right here if you lived anywhere near Mount Hood. 30 seconds worth of shaking after 9:30 this morning. 9:35, 9:36 this morning. These earthquakes happen a lot. Right here. All this activity here are tremors and minor earthquakes. This is called secondary wave. Secondary wave. This is the primary wave. This is a secondary wave here. The secondary wave helps us to understand how strong this primary wave was. Okay? But look at this activity here. We don't see it up here, but we're still seeing a lot of activity here. These thicker lines here show a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, and they help obliterate all the other lines around them. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. This is also showing us the same thing. We're seeing 2.0 earthquake here, tremors all over this area. This appears to be a 2.0 here. This may be a 2.0, maybe a little bit less, 1.7, 1.8 tremor. But this is definitely a full-blown 3.0, 3.3 earthquake right here at Mount Hood. This is Timberline. TIMB up here is Timberline. The seismograph that's reporting this information is at Government Camp on the south lower side of Mount Hood. Government Camp. Okay? So now you see what's going on at Mount Hood. I want to show you a USGS version of it. Okay? This is the USGS seismograph here. The other one was from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Look at that. Look at all this activity here. Magma coming into the magma chamber here. No, we're not seeing the 3.0 earthquake. They've taken it off. Missed it. Look at all this activity here. Again, a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber early this morning. Early this morning. And you can see everything else happening here. This area right here, I believe, they down the seismograph so it's not reporting any information here. That's what I believe happened right here. Okay? Let's go south. I'm going to continue this probably fast and furious for a few minutes so you understand what we have here. Okay? I first want to go over to Newberry Volcano. Newberry Volcano is very busy today. Look at this. Again, this is the kind of activity that we're showing on a lot of the seismograms when we first started showing this back about 4 years ago. 4.5, 5 years ago. This is a lot of activity here at Newberry Volcano. Okay? This is Newberry Central Pumice Cone. Newberry Central Pumice Cone. Yes, we're seeing earthquakes here. Look at all this activity here. Each and every line is showing us activity. This particular blue line is after 2:30 p.m. today. This entire blue line here is after 2:30 p.m. today. That's a lot of magma. And we're seeing these vertical lines here showing the magma action rock inside the volcano causing earth movement here at Newberry Volcano. Okay? That's a lot of activity. All over Newberry Volcano we're seeing this. Literally all over Newberry Volcano. Now I'm going to go further south. I want to now show you Bachelor Volcano. Bachelor Volcano. Look at what I'm going to show you now. Again, Bachelor, they don't show us anything. They haven't showed us anything for over 3 years. All of a sudden today, what are they showing us? They're showing us a striking amount of activity. A lot of activity. Look at this. This shows continued magma coming into the magma chamber here, not stopping. Right here, it shows a little bit white here, but there's still magma coming into the magma chamber here, and you see these tiny vertical lines here causing tremors. Magma coming into the magma chamber here at Bachelor Volcano is causing tremors. Earth movement. Magma fracturing rock inside the volcano. Again, Bachelor Volcano has not showed anything to us, or the agency has not shown anything to us in over 3 years. Today I went to this and going, oh my gosh, look at this. Mount Bachelor is busy. It's very busy. I was thinking they turned it off and weren't going to turn it on again. If I show you this next week or tell you there's nothing to show here, it's because they turned it off again. But again, we're showing you a lot of magma coming in here to the volcano here at Bachelor Volcano. This is what we used to see all the time. We used to see this all the time. Down here, it's a little less sporadic. This is a little sporadic here because apparently the volcano slowed down here, or the amount of magma coming into the volcano at Bachelor slowed down. But you can see here these vertical lines again. The magma is actually causing rock fracturing at Bachelor Volcano. Rock fracturing at Bachelor Volcano. Let's go down to Sisters Volcano. Look at this. Sisters Volcano. Now, Sisters Volcano is only being monitored by one seismograph. One and one only seismograph. Sisters Volcano is not just one volcano, it's 3. There's Sisters North, Sisters Central, and Sisters South. All this activity is happening at 3 volcanoes. Folks, Sisters used to be very active. I believe it still is. They're only showing some activity here. Jan USMC is saying, and is it true Mount Tabor next to Mount Hood is dormant? I don't think these volcanoes are dormant at all. I don't think Mount Tabor or any of the other volcanoes are dormant. They are just not showing activity. They are just not showing activity. I checked into Mount Tabor about 2 or 3 years ago, and as it turns out, the scientists told me, oh, that seismograph has been turned on. The seismograph has been turned off. And I don't believe they've turned it back on since. I haven't been back to look at Mount Tabor in quite some time. Maybe I'll have to call over to that area and just see what is going on. I'll have to go over there and find out. But here at Sisters, we're only showing tremors and probably only 2 earthquakes. This one here. This appears to be a 2.3, 2.4 earthquake. And then this one here. Okay? This appears to be close to a 3.0 earthquake. This earthquake here is like a 3.0 earthquake here. So there is activity at Sisters Volcano. If that is a 3.0 earthquake, folks, it's a big deal. Because we have not seen 3.0 activity at any of the Sisters volcanoes in quite some time. But again, they're only showing 1 seismograph's worth of work. They should have at least 1 seismograph monitoring each of the volcanoes, and that's not what's going on. That is definitely not what's going on. Let's continue south, guys. Okay? I'm now going south to Crater Lake. Crater Lake is over in south central Oregon. Good old Crater Lake. Now, when I pulled this seismograph I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to show you 3 seismograms. 2 from Cleetwood Cove, which is on the northeast side of Crater Lake. Crater Lake is a huge volcano. There's a huge lake there at the top of the volcano. A huge lake. The lake started with the volcano erupting. And when the volcano erupted, what happened? It left a volcanic rock at the top of the volcano. It left walls on the sides of the volcano as well. Groundwater and rainwater seeped into the volcanic caldera and started to fill the caldera. And over a lot of years, hundreds of years, Crater Lake filled up. It's now an alpine lake. Crater Lake is an alpine lake at the top of the volcano. Crater Lake is also very active. Don't let this seismogram fool you. Crater Lake is very active. Up at the top of this seismogram, we're seeing 5 p.m. here. The black line here is 5 p.m. I don't know why the red line is on top of the black line, but for whatever reason it is. And on several of the seismograms, that's the way it is. But the black line is actually 5 p.m. What we're seeing here is all tremors. All this activity here is all tremors. This is yesterday evening. 5, 6, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. here. They turned down the seismograph. They completely turned it down. What happened here should have continued. The volcano just doesn't stop. The magma just doesn't stop coming into the volcano. Yes, we're seeing a blurb right here. Maybe there was enough magma to force over the electronic turndown of the machine. That's what I believe happened here. But look here. From 8 p.m. on down here to 8 a.m. here. 12 hours. 12 hours they turned down the seismograph. They turned down the seismograph. They shouldn't do that, should they? No, not at all. We pay taxes. The people of Washington and Oregon pay taxes to keep this seismograph on. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network monitors this seismograph, and they have turned it basically off. It's hardly showing any data for 12 hours. And I showed you the same problem yesterday and even last week. They turned these seismographs off or way down where they're not showing any activity. But what happened here also happened here from 8 a.m. on through this afternoon. Tremor activity. And right here, see this wavy line? This is an earthquake down in Tonga. This is a 5.8 earthquake down in Tonga today. A 5.8 earthquake in Tonga today. Guess what? The USGS downgraded it to a 5.5. This was a strong, very large earthquake, a 5.8 in Tonga. That's why this seismogram pulled the information. And the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network did not erase it. This is what happens when we have a very strong earthquake anywhere. The seismograms pick up the information. The seismograph picks up the information and puts seismograms. That's what happened here. Okay? Cleetwood Cove. Cleetwood Cove at Crater Lake, the northeast side of Crater Lake. One more seismogram from Cleetwood Cove. This is the HHN channel, or the BHN channel. Crater Lake, Cleetwood Cove. Look at this. Again, VLF waves caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. a lot of busyness here until here is 8 p.m. It started slowing down, right? On the other seismograph, we saw on the seismogram, they started turning it down until they turned it almost off all the way down here to 8 a.m. That's exactly what they've done here on this seismograph here. They've turned it down, way, way down. They turned it up back up here at 8 a.m. What happened here also is happening here. It's been happening probably all day long here at Crater Lake. But again, they're not showing it to us, are they? Because the agencies doctored it. The agencies doctored it. BFS Live says, don't forget aftershocks also could be, as they call it, breathing pattern. Absolutely right. Breathing pattern. But again, they have doctored the information. This is a lot of seismic activity here at Crater Lake. Let me show you one more seismogram at Crater Lake. Over on the south central part of Crater Lake, there is another seismograph. One more. It's called Bunkhouse. It's called Bunkhouse. On this particular seismogram, we're also seeing a lot of activity. Again, from 1700 hours, 5 p.m. yesterday until here. A lot of activity until here. This is 1 a.m. this morning. Then they turn it down. In this case, they turn it down till just after 6:30. All of a sudden, this blue line here after 6:30 starts going crazy again. That's because a lot of magma is started pouring into Crater Lake this morning. A lot of magma. They turn it down somewhat, but you still see right here a lot of magma coming into Crater Lake. Okay? Crater Lake is very active. Crater Lake is very active. The other seismographs around the mountain, Mount Scott, has been turned off. Mount is on the southeast side of Crater Lake. They turn it off. Another one over on the lake itself. There is actually an island at Crater Lake. The island is actually the summit of the volcano. They turned off Wizard Island. They turned off the seismograph at Wizard Island. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. But I'm showing you the activity that's reported at these volcanoes. This is just Washington and Oregon. The other day I showed you Lassen and Shasta, and I also showed you the other volcanoes over in California. Mammoth and Long Valley. I also showed you the Salton Sea, Calipatria. Over 150 earthquakes at Calipatria. USGS is never going to admit it. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Anyway, I've still got the USGS map out here. Let me show you some activity on the USGS map. Okay? Here. Earthquakes here in Tonga. Earthquakes in Tonga. Go figure. Yes, we have earthquakes in Tonga. USGS downgraded them. They downgraded them. They're showing a 5.3 here. A 5.3. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. This they have as a 5.0. They downgraded this from a 5.8 to a 5.3. It was a 5.5. But they downgraded this now from a 5.8 to a 5.3. Go figure. Go figure. Then this earthquake here. The Fiji Islands. This is a 4.8 earthquake. A 4.8 earthquake. This is 607 kilometers deep. This is a very deep earthquake. Meaning this earthquake is going to propagate a larger, more shallower quake. This earthquake being a 4.8 is going to this earthquake that's actually 607 kilometers deep is going to propagate a 6.0 earthquake. It's going to propagate a very strong 6.0 quake. This is only a 4.8, a moderate 4.8 quake. It's going to make sure that we have a very strong 6.0 as a result of this quake because it's deep. Deep quakes propagate shallower, stronger quakes. Deep quakes propagate stronger, shallower earthquakes. What's this one here? It's also in Fiji. This earthquake is a 4.3, 569 kilometers deep. This is also going to propagate a 5.5 to 5.7 earthquake. It's going to propagate a 5.5 to a 5.7 earthquake. Both of these earthquakes, these shallower, stronger earthquakes, are going to happen within the next 3 to 10 days. The 6.0 and the 5.5 to 5.7 are going to happen within the next 3 to 10 days. These earthquakes may happen over here in Tonga. They could happen over here in the Loyalty Islands. They could happen up here in Vanuatu. They could happen over here in the Solomon Islands, or they could happen over here in Indonesia or Papua New Guinea. Okay? Right here. Right here. I want to show you this other earthquake here. This is Is-Angel oh, crud. This is Is-Angel, Vanuatu. This is a 5.0 earthquake, 252 kilometers deep. This is a moderately deep quake. This is not deep as the other ones were, but this is moderately deep. A 5.0 earthquake here in Vanuatu. 74 kilometers north of Is-Angel, Vanuatu. I believe for the most part that this earthquake was not felt by the people in Vanuatu. Yes, there are people here that live on Is-Angel, Vanuatu. This is out in the ocean here. This is out in the ocean here. Okay? The ocean waters absorbed the shock of this quake. The ocean waters absorbed the shock of this quake. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've shown you? Anybody have any questions about anything I've shown you? There's another large earthquake over here in Papua New Guinea. This is a large 5.2 earthquake. 27 kilometers northeast of Abunti, Papua New Guinea. I'm going to try to enlarge this so you can see it. Okay, this is over here on land. For all intents and purposes, people felt this quake. The backbone of this island is right here. These are mountains. These are mountains. All this island is forested. Trees, these are all... I don't know how my finger could have been on the microphone here. I'm sorry, guys, if my finger was on the microphone. I didn't think it was. This happened on land. There are tiny villages all over this island. People felt this quake, I'm sure. This was a large 5.2 earthquake. And large 5.2 earthquakes cause problems. Large earthquakes cause problems. Now, the last time we had a ton of earthquakes here, right before the earthquakes hit, we had a cyclone that blew through here. The cyclone here brought wind and flooding waters from the ocean. And then all of a sudden the earthquakes hit. When the earthquakes hit, it caused landslides and earth movement. People were devastated. Over 500 people were killed when that happened. They don't have much electricity, if anything at all. They don't have anything. These people live on meager money. Meager money. They live basically in cardboard shacks. Cardboard shacks that are protected by tarps. They have nothing. So when they get an earthquake here, it causes massive damage, and it does kill people. Okay? Do any of you have any questions about anything I've shown you so far? And yes, there's other earthquakes around the globe. There's other earthquakes around the globe. Over here off the northeast side of Luzon, Philippines. This is a 4.7 earthquake, a moderate 4.7 earthquake. This is 47 kilometers north of the town. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the town. I don't speak Tagalog. Okay, it's spelled Dicabissagan, Philippines, Luzon, Philippines. This was a moderate quake. Moderate quakes cause moderate damage. Moderate quakes cause moderate damage. Okay? Like I said, there were other earthquakes around the world. There were a lot of earthquakes today over in Alaska. A lot of earthquakes. Look at that. There's probably 62 earthquakes, I believe, here in Alaska. The northernmost part of one is, I believe, this earthquake here was at Arctic Village, Alaska. Okay, I believe this was a 2.0 earthquake in Arctic Village, Alaska. This right here is up in the Arctic Circle. This is the Arctic Circle. This is the tundra of Alaska here. Okay, this is over on the eastern side of Alaska here. I believe this was a 3.7 or something. Let me see if I can open this up. I don't think they're going to let me show that to you. I need a battery for my cotton picking mouse here, and so it's not going to let me show it to you. But I believe this is a 3.7 earthquake over here at the border area of Yukon Territories, Canada, and Alaska there. Richard Smith is reporting 2.3 over there on the island of Hawaii. Yes, there are earthquakes happening here in Hawaii, right here. Most of the earthquakes around Kilauea. I saw this earlier, and I'm going to show you real quick here. Most of these earthquakes around Kilauea. Oh, why is it doing that? Most of these earthquakes are all around Kilauea. I'm going to get this computer problem solved the end of this week, guys. So we'll be on the computer. We won't have this problem. But there's about 30 earthquakes around Kilauea right now. Most of the earthquakes are on the southern side of Kilauea, on the southern side of the Kilauea caldera, and over just south of the volcano as well. The same place was located other earthquakes that happened about a month ago. There were fissures that opened up just south of Kilauea, caused by earthquakes. I believe that's exactly what's happening now. Yes, over here, just south or just southeast of the volcano here, we have some minor tremors over here, and one, I believe, 2.1 earthquake. But these earthquakes are all just southeast of Kilauea. Yes, we do have some earthquakes down here in Pahala. Pahala is a small town over here on the south east side of the volcano, or southeast side of the island anyway. Pahala here is like the gas station for the magma coming into the island. The magma coming into the island is supplied from a deep, deep, deep plume down in the South Pacific. A very deep plume further down the South Pacific. This plume supplies magma to the island of Hawaii, to all of the volcanoes. It comes here into Pahala, and from here in Pahala, there are magma channels that go up to the volcanoes. They go up to Kilauea, they go up to Pu'u'o'o, they go up to Mauna Loa, they go up here to Mauna Kea, and over here to Hualalai. Okay? That's what happens here. But all these are just minor earthquakes. I don't believe we even have a 3.0 here. They are all minor earthquakes here on that big island of Hawaii. Do any of you have any questions about anything we've been talking about? Devilish Dog says he lives about 30 minutes from the volcano. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions about the attempted assassination of President Trump from the other day. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have concerning the Republican National Convention that opened up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin earlier today. It's day one of the Republican National Convention that will continue through Friday. President Trump probably Friday evening will be offering a congratulatory speech as the nominee of the Republican Party. He'll probably do that on Friday evening. Devilish Dog says, brother, you are spot on. Thank you for that. I've said this a long time. I have friends like you in Hawaii. I have friends like you in the Pacific Northwest. I have friends like you in California. Heck, I lived in California for 28 years. Okay? I've been all over that. I ended up getting my degree from a college in San Diego. That's how I know this stuff. That's how I know this stuff. Demon Catman just put up our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. About 10 minutes after we get off this program, we will put up our program description right below our video today. Look for our program description within 10 minutes after we get off. Our program description at the top will have a place where you can become a member of our Emergency Management Associates family here on YouTube. You'll also see our email address. And just below that, you'll see 2 PayPal locations and a Cash App location where you can support this program with donations, of which we greatly need to keep this program on the air. Okay? That's going on. We also have a complete narrative of my experience and background and more information about this program. So look for this within about 10 minutes after we get off the air. Highway Runner is a dear friend of mine here in the chat. Thank you for being here. She's asking, is President Trump under security? Yes, he is. Heavy security. Heavy security. I believe he's probably hired his own security agents in addition to the Homeland Security Secret Service that he has. Okay? Any other questions? That was a good question, Highway Runner. We appreciate it. Devilish Dog says, you got my sub. Thank you very much for that. If anybody wants to subscribe to our program, please do. 25% of the people that watch this program are not subscribed. Imagine what could happen if you would subscribe to this program. We have 4,000 or 5,400 plus subscribers now. That would double. That would probably double if people subscribe to this program. We'd appreciate it. Please subscribe to this program. When you do, click on that little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. That little bell icon will make a drop-down menu come up with 3 items. Click on the word ALL. ALL, when you click on it, should get you subscribed to all of our programs and get you notified when we come on the air. Okay? That happens. That happens. Do any of you have any questions about anything we talked about tonight? As the Republican National Convention goes forward, we will report to you on the progress of the convention and the progress of President Trump's nomination. Okay? We'll keep an eye on that for you. Prism Omega says, may God bless you, Ron, for fighting the good fight and spreading wisdom and honor. Well, thank you for that. I can only hope to shout that I'm spreading wisdom and honor. I used to work for a U.S. congressman. I love that man. He was my scoutmaster years ago. His name is Ronald Packard. Ron Packard resigned from Congress in the early 2000s. We got him elected back in 1982. From 1982 to 1990, I worked for the congressman. After a certain point, after 6 or 7 years, he became so popular, all we needed to do was put his name on the ballot and Ron Packard would get reelected. I was his campaign manager. I went back and forth to Washington several times for the congressman. I did town halls for the congressman, so I'm very familiar with politics. I met quite a few of the politicians in D.C. when I was in D.C. He introduced me to quite a few influential people. Most of those people are no longer with us. Tip O'Neill, for some of you that might know him. He introduced me to Tip O'Neill. He introduced me to Newt Gingrich and several others. So I've been around Democrats and Congress people all my life. Democrats and Republicans all my life. So I'm very familiar with politics. That's why I talk about it. Anyway, guys, if you don't have any problems with this, I want to... Harry Fodder's asking me if JFK Jr. is still alive. I believe he is. But I wish the Democrat Joe Biden would give JFK Secret Service protection. I believe he needs it. I believe he needs it. Anyway, I would like to share with you some scriptures. I'm going over to Romans chapter 1, verse 16. This is also another one of my favorite scriptures. Romans 1:16 says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation, to every man that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek, to everybody. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the power unto salvation for every man. Every man. That is why Paul the Apostle wrote this epistle. That is why he said that. In verse 13, now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I purpose to come unto you.
Mindanao, Philippines. Class light, magnitude 4.0, 10 minutes ago.
Verse 13, now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I purpose to come unto you, but was let hitherto that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles. I am debtor, both to the Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the unwise. So as much as is in me is, I am ready to preach the gospel to you that are in Rome also. And that's what he did. Then he said, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. I quote that scripture often, because I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ either. Because I know it is the power of God and the salvation to all of us. To all of us. Think about that. Think about how the scriptures are righteous to you. Think about how the scriptures apply to you and your families. This is true. It's my testimony that I know that Jesus Christ lives. He hears and answers our prayers. Foam just gave us a $10 super chat. Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. God bless you for that. But God hears and answers our prayers, brothers and sisters. He lives. As the scriptures say, he lives, my everlasting head. Brothers and sisters, I know the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. I have a testimony. I bear you that testimony every day. I love the gospel. I love all of you. Our Heavenly Father will listen to you. I know that for a fact. Our Heavenly Father loves each one of you. Please, folks, take heed of that. Understand the gospel. Pray. If you already don't have a testimony of Jesus Christ, pray and get a testimony. Listen to my Sunday school lessons. I've been teaching Sunday school for an awful long time. Before I taught online, I taught in my church. Before that, I was a missionary. I taught the gospel for a very long time. I've taught to the Swedish people. I've taught to the people here in the U.S., literally all over. Brothers and sisters, I love you. That's why I go to this extent to make sure we talk about earthquakes. I started doing this over 5.5 years ago when somebody else that had been talking about earthquakes quit. I've been on the air ever since. I had a channel before this that had over 25,000 people subscribed. YouTube took it down because they didn't like me saying some of the things I did. I started up another channel and we already have over 5,400 people here, and it's growing rapidly. Please, folks, share this channel with everybody you know. Share it to your family. Share it with your loved ones, your extended family, your neighbors and friends, your social media contacts, and even the people you work with. There is nothing that can't be shared here. I love you. God loves you. Foam says, peace, love, and light to my fellow man. I agree. Peace, love, and light to all of you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. We'll see you. We'll be back on the air tonight if something major happens. Otherwise, we'll be back shortly after 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. We appreciate all of you. Dawn, thank you for that. Carol thanks you for that. My family thanks you for that. My children, or my wife and I, are presently occupied with several of her children. I consider them my children. I love them very much. So what we do here is also part of my family. And my family allows me to talk to you every day here. And that's what I do. My buddy Sage Pup is here. Sage Pup lives over in Santa Barbara area. Sage Pup, I love you, brother. Thank you for being here. I love all of you guys. I love all of my mods. I love all of you for being here. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you tomorrow night, if not sooner. Good night, everybody. Much love.